Okay, so I'm going to give you guys our first instructional video to make sort of a very standard flower arrangement using a mixture of the flowers that you have in your bloom box this week. There was such a great sort of selection here with what I gave you that I feel like I really want to show you something that you can play with. That said, like, just go easy on yourself. I know that I'm gonna probably make this look easier and you're gonna get super annoyed with me, but it really is just about having fun and not putting that pressure on yourself for it to be perfect. The great thing about flowers is that they kind of do all the hard work for you because they're so beautiful by themselves, so you really can't make a mistake. But if you have one of our toolkits, guess what you get to use today? So this is just kind of a standard vase. If you've ever gotten flowers from us before, you probably have something like this laying around. I would just choose something not too big. If you have vases that have like a flared opening at the top, just know that your flower arrangement is going to get much bigger than you probably expected it to be. So go for something a little more manageable. Like, this is a great size. Maybe something a little bit bigger would be okay. But just kind of start off playing with something that's a little more controllable. So use your tape. On a vase with this size opening, it's pretty small. So I'm just going to do a simple crisscross. And you can just use scissors. You don't have to use a knife. But I'm going to just do a simple crisscross here, like so. And then I'm going to go around the edge to make sure that none of those ends lift up. And then always fold the end of your tape back so that you're not, doesn't make you mad later. Okay. Fill it up with water. I usually fill up around 3/4. Doesn't have to be to the tippy top. Remember, you're putting flowers in here so that water level will go higher. If I gave you little packets of flower food, you should sprinkle a little bit of that in there before you fill it up, and that will sort of automatically mix it up for you. All right, so when I start my flower arrangements, I always sort of start off with a foundation. You can use hydrangea as a foundation. You can use greenery as a foundation. Because we don't have hydrangea today, I'm going to use greenery. So I'm going to grab some of this amazing mint, and I'm going to use this to sort of build my base. Now, every time you take flowers out of a vase to put back in, it's always smart to give it a fresh cut, especially if it maybe sits on your table for a couple of minutes, because those ends will seal up again. So you just give it a fresh cut. Use your cutters. I'm going to use my knife because it's just more natural for me, but these cutters are perfectly fine. Just make sure you're cutting at an angle, and always remember to keep your leaves out of the water. So always at an angle. Always put your flowers at an angle. You don't want to be starting your arrangements going straight up. If you've noticed, like when you receive a flower arrangement from a professional florist, all the stems are really nicely crisscrossed. That's how you get that effect, is because we are putting everything in at an angle. And the easiest way to sort of get started is to just kind of do, little patterns in your mind, so you're not focusing only on one side or another. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like, that's pretty simple. I'm just gonna kind of keep going with that and layer on top of where I just built. But again, I'm always going in at an angle. At the end of this, I'm going to show you the underneath in my vases so that you can see, that the stems underneath look just as pretty as the stems. I'm going to add this to my mint. As the stems above. I think that that's equally as important. Anybody that's worked for me knows that I will sit there and look at people's stems and they think I'm crazy, but I don't care. All right, So the other thing that you're doing right now is you're also creating a nice entry spot for your flowers, so that you don't put it in and just flops to one side or the other. We're kind of creating a little bit of a snug spot for you to then start putting your feature flowers in. For me, I personally really love just vases of greenery, so I'm not mad at this just the way it is. Keep turning your vase too, so you're always getting sort of fresh eyes on it. Turn, and I think that's all the greenery I've got, so that's all we're going to use. And now I've got more mint for my mojito later. All right, so the next thing I think I want to use is my spray roses. I'm not going to need all of these spray roses because then it would just be a vase of spray roses. But what I love is, remember how we kept all of these greens on your roses? So that's going to blend so beautifully now with this arrangement and the mint that's already in there. So I'm going to turn it as I go so you can see the placements that I make. Now, sometimes you'll get a stem that's really, we call this the really leggy. So it's almost like a stem within a stem. So I'm looking at the length of this stem, this sort of leg right here, and I know that that's long enough to use there. So I'm actually going to pull that off, and I'm going to pull that one off too. I can use this. Turn my arrangement. Guess what? It's like I've got extra flowers now. Give it a fresh cut. I'm going to now pull these leaves off because now those are too low. And I'm going to start sticking them in. So you can see how far these go. You really get a lot of mileage out of them because they're so leggy. Now I probably am not going to need more than one more, so I'm going to pick kind of a smaller one so I still have enough to have my little vase of just spray roses. And it's just now starting to fill in so that when I'm placing each of these in here, they don't flip around because it's all getting kind of snug in there. I'm going to also give you a little preview of my stems. Those are still looking pretty. Every now and then a leaf will get pushed in there. If you worked for me, I'd make you dig it out, but I'm not going to make you dig it out. All right. Now I'm going to grab these beautiful delphiniums that I kind of never had the right vase for anyway. So I'm going to use them now. Oh my God. Like, just having these in here is going to make me so happy. I'm still turning my vase, and I'm still always going in at an angle. I also tend to look at the natural curve of flowers. So see how this guy is curved a little bit? Like, use those angles to work for you in this arrangement. Like, this one just makes my whole heart sing because I want to utilize this expression right here. So I'm going to not cut that super low because you're going to have a little moment of stardom in this arrangement. See how that kind of works? We'll stick you there. I mean, just trust yourself. There really is no right or wrong way to do this. I always sort of feel badly when I see people being really hard on themselves when they're just learning. This is all about you, and it doesn't matter. This is just going to be something beautiful for you to stare at all week, and there's really no way for this to be anything but beautiful. So just go easy on yourself. I mean, come on, that's so pretty. All right, so I'm going to let my tulips stay where they are, but I am going to, well, am I? Sure. I'll use these peonies. These are going to pretty much finish this arrangement because they're so big and amazing. And just go gently. You can always sort of hold onto the head a little bit. If you have trouble getting it in there, twist instead of push. Like give it a little twist motion, and that will help with that. Come on. All right. There you go. I'm trying to think of what else I want to put in there. Maybe I'll steal a few of these guys. Yeah. These always kind of look like peonies to me, these double tulips. And they've got this gorgeous coral color. Be a little more gentle when you're putting the tulips in, especially if you do it late the way I did. I usually will get tulips into an arrangement sort of midway through because these can kind of snap easily, and that'll just be a bummer. But the nice thing about tulips is it'll really help you get more shape and more movement out of the entire thing. So I just kind of can't help myself. I keep going. Tulips are funny little creatures too because they will grow while they're in your vase. So they're gonna stretch their necks out. So keep that in mind when you're doing your placements because you don't really want them to stretch straight up. So I never put anything straight in the middle unless I cut it really short. I tend to put things on the outer areas of an arrangement because I want them to kind of spread their wings outward. Sometimes I don't get to see arrangements on their second or third day, but every now and then a client will send me pictures and I get so excited because I can see how the arrangement has kind of taken over. Yeah. What do you guys think? I think she's done. And now you're going to have so much fragrance out of this. You're going to, those peonies obviously are the showstoppers of this arrangement. But you've got the mint, you've got the delphinium, the roses. These tulips are going to continue to like change from day to day. And I don't know. What do you think? You have all the ingredients to do this. All right. I want to see those pictures.